We are here with Steve Sutherland, who is the CEO of Konami Gaming. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you, Frank. Good to see you again.
Always good to see you. Steve, give us an update on where Konami's been, where it is, and maybe where it will be going in the near future.
The key thing that we had done is there's a lot of restructuring within the company to drive the future product direction and the strategy of the company. First and foremost, we brought the Konami Australia organization within the KGI organization that's here today. So today it's now a complete global business, under one key control point and management team, and an outstanding management team. And we did bring in the head of Konami Australia development that's had very successful product developments with All Aboard, Golden Strike, Bull Blitz, which is Bull Rush here. I mean, just very, very successful games. So he's now overseeing all that, and that's our lifeblood on the game side. So that's been outstanding. And they've benefited here over this past year. We took the Dimension series globally into Australia, New Zealand, the markets they serve in Asia, very well received. And then here, domestically, or our international market controlled by KGI, we've taken it to Europe and Latin America. Very, very successful. We're very pleased with where we're at. And then I think when we talked last year, maybe at the last show, that we had invested in the video lottery terminal market, we invested in the historical horse racing, and the Class II environment. So HHR's operating very, very successfully, and we're pursuing that. We made the entry into New York State, limited basis, because they're now taking a look at converting maybe a couple of those properties to casinos. So it's a little bit slow on the uptake and positioning new product, but there's always that Class III opportunity if they're there. So, but there's other markets based on the knowledge, what we learned. We can now go into Canada, markets like Illinois, some of the VLT route type operations. So we're positioned and we're executing to that this year. So under that restructure, we put dedicated teams in place, likewise for Class II that we really haven't taken advantage of, enrolled even the HHR, because there's a lot of commonality from a development standpoint there. So that's very successful. So we take a look on the game side. We'll continue to invest and drive our core business. Now, if I switch to the system side, we had a major milestone during the pandemic. The operators were major CapEx in systems, et cetera. We were a direct beneficiary from a systems standpoint. That business just continues to grow above and beyond what were our original strategic directions and expectations. So doing exceptionally well. Unbelievably well received. We've filled the hopper basically 12 months out. So we're always looking at adding resources. So we benefit from decisions that were made back in 2001 and continued about that single core operating base amongst all operators. But with that, what we've seen is a lot of repeat customers, people that have opened new casinos this past year. The Rivers Group. Okay, major customer. We opened up in Portsmouth with them. We have, Dan Lee's Place, American Place, and Waukegan. They're a major customer of ours throughout. We've had the Elite Gaming Group, who is one of our very first customers. But we continue to grow, and as you know, we've hit stride even here on the Strip. Started with the Sahara, the Golden Gaming Group, which has a Stratosphere, the Arizona Charlie's, then property down in Laughlin. Recently, Resorts World. We have another major opportunity we'll be installing here on the Strip. So we're starting to get very significant traction, but not just here, globally. And then we just re-signed, continued our strategic relationship with Star Entertainment in Australia. So we're extremely busy. So,
it sounds like it.
And even on the systems side, our Kinetic employee apps, the Sync 31, which is the Title 31, we've made great strides. So we feel very good with where we're at. Our games group, I'd like to see a lot more, and that's a lot of the repositioning by bringing Jared Crosby in from Australia, and he works very closely with our Chief Commercial Officer. So my expectations are very high, and that's what I'm driving, so continued growth.
So it sounds like Konami's become a much broader, fully matured company in terms of product line.
Correct. We had to, and just as the pandemic hit, the night that everything started shutting down, we had entered more into that high-end, somewhat premium, recurring revenue participation base. And our first install was at Morongo Casino. We're having dinner that night. We leave dinner and they have to shut the casino down because of the pandemic. So it was on a stall basis for about 3 to 6 months here in the US. But when the casinos reopened, it was great opportunities because the operators were focusing their investment more on the recurring revenue side. And a lot of the CapEx was going towards where we were benefiting system-wise, investing in their sports and wagering type business, that had been legalized, et cetera. So I think we're well positioned. Now it's just all about execution.
When you're in the systems business, you're competing against the largest of the companies in the gaming industry. What's your secret sauce? Why are you showing that success?
Okay, there's a number of things. Is when we acquired the technology that we leveraged, it took about 6 years to get the software sets, the underlying base, not just the slot accounting and table accounting, but all the marketing components and communicating with that patron, et cetera. It took quite some time to get there. But the decision that we made in 2001, single code base, okay, very large back end called Oracle, because Oracle does a lot of things automatically, so you don't need a large IT staff, because we recognize it may be of value to us if we can take over the control or the management of that IT infrastructure, and we can do it remotely. And all of that was with a commitment that we can deliver reliability of 99.9% uptime. And I'm pleased to say we've overachieved that. The only system we had go completely down, but I'm not going to mention the property, but this happened about 2007, 2008. The system went completely down, but so did everything else in the casino. The power company had a surge. It actually blew a hole in the wall of the IT area out into the parking lot. And so everything was down. I'm happy to report that next day we had that system completely operational. They still didn't have lights in the property, so.
Well, systems going down,
right.
And technology reminds me of one of the front and center issues today, which is cybersecurity.
Right.
Any thoughts on that?
Yes, let me talk about from two components. I think from not just our industry, but any industry, I think everybody has to understand this threat. If we've taken a look over the past few years, we've seen hospitals completely taken over and their systems taken over, impacting medical-related components, not just records, but procedural type stuff that the doctors rely upon, being held hostage. We had the fuel situation, in Virginia, the long lines, okay? We've had the casino industry hit for the past few years. But it's happening in all the other industries. I mean, everybody's under threat, and particularly if there's a financial reward or they see a benefit. My recommendation would be, if I take a look as a company, we have a very extensive cybersecurity program that actually flows into our system also. But internally with the company, we have a very material third party that monitors and assists us, provides software and oversight. They're experts. This area is changing rapidly, and you take a look at AI technology, okay? You don't necessarily have to have people anymore integrating here. The AI can do it. The closer it gets to that human type form, and it can change those models and send out the emails and the phishing, et cetera. So we all have to be careful. So the one thing that's core to that is you have to have the expertise. Anybody that's not utilizing the third party that's on the forefront of this, because this is an ever-changing environment, and I utilize people I know from my prior life to speak to them, and they've been very beneficial to us. Go sign up with those third parties, listen to them, okay? It's an expertise, and it's going to become even more important than AI. This is not something you can learn momentarily. This has to be your life. It's your full time. It's not just another system. As we look at our systems side of the business, we are architected as such to minimize those type of threats. But the one thing that we do is we work very closely with the casinos we're providing our system to. We have recommendations on how to integrate that, within their IT infrastructure, how to isolate it, et cetera. We have a number of things built in. We have firewalls for the third parties coming in, et cetera. But it's a cohesive communication because we have knowledge sets on both sides, and that will limit that. Have we had people try to attack? Absolutely. That's been going on for a long time. We haven't been penetrated to date, and we hope we do so. And our system is not openly available on the internet. So the more we can isolate that, and we have one connection into that system. We don't have multiple. Our system, our code base, is one code base on that server. We don't have a number of codes, our slot accounting, table accounting. It's not one system that's separate on this server, and then our patron managers over here. This is all an integrated system. So the architecture and our own personnel, IT personnel, or our systems personnel, they're used to dealing with this. You have to be careful, but you also have to have those third-party relationships, and we think we have some of the best.
Great. You mentioned artificial intelligence in regard to the issue of cybersecurity, and this is a topic that's artificial intelligence that's moved from science fiction to buzzword real fast. Any other thoughts about how artificial intelligence will be applied in the gaming industry?
Yeah, as I take a look, but let me speak first from the system standpoint, because we're always looking as how do you maximize the value of that data that's in there? That's what the patrons or our casino customers are looking for. AI can play a very important role. We benefit that we have people internally at the company, that they have a lot of background in that, but also they understand that our database is massive. Okay, so a lot of the things that we're doing today and delivering value back to the casino floor digitally is utilizing technologies like that. Now, the more is our people can start training some of these technologies that we can isolate, it can start adding its own value, or the operator say, okay, I want to change this to this. Just make it more flexible versus having to come to us and applying our knowledge. So there's a benefit there, but that's got to be isolated, and particularly in this cybersecurity type world today.
So we're at G2E, and you've already mentioned some of the things that people will see. What are some of the must-sees at your booth this year?
As I take a look at this year, I would highly recommend, we have a new form factor of the Dimension series. It's called the Dimension 43 by 3. There's three 43-inch monitors mounted horizontally, one on top of each other, using the entire, display component for the game. It's a large format, but we're finding large format games do very successful. Last year we were talking about Dimension 75C, so, this is, a key component. We were talking, should we make it purely a recurring revenue-based game, and we made the decision, direct sale, and if people want to participate, they can participate. We're doing that. There's about 80 titles, I think, that are available on that game. So our initial install is actually out on the floor here at the Venetian. It's doing exceptionally well. So we're hoping that translates, because we're just getting ready to ship to other casinos at this point in time. I mean, it's performing above and beyond our expectations. Makes our job easier, as you know, if it keeps going. That that net win per unit drives a lot of sales, future placements. So,
okay, great.
And then on the system side, the Kinetic apps for the casino service staff. It's a mobile device. It's everything from jackpots, fills, etc. Versus having to get a phone call or go into a cage. It's immediate to the phone, okay? And so, the floor personnel can go service the customer immediately, so they don't have to be going back and forth. Great communication device, getting a little bit closer, so you're saving maybe minutes over a day, maybe hours, et cetera. So that drives customer satisfaction. And then we've been dabbling, and I want to say dabbling. We've been heavily invested in the the biotechnology. But we have something called Sync Vision. It's very important in a couple of the markets that we're in to identify casino patrons where you have to identify yourself. We could take it to the machine. I think maybe initially it may be more for entry into a property, et cetera. But we can actually drive that to machine and actually open that machine up, with the content that they like, if it's a multi-game, et cetera. So there's a lot of things that are very exciting. So, investing in the future and trying to change the dynamic.
Right. Sounds good. Anything else, Steve, you'd like folks to know about Konami?
As a company, as we talked beforehand, we were initially very invested specifically in the Class 3 market and more direct sale. And then we invested in going into the recurring revenue, formally, and that's turned out to be a very successful business. We're very methodical. At times, people would call us plotters, okay? That, we entered HHR. We're very successful there. I think you'll start seeing execution, hopefully next year when we're talking, that our execution in the video lottery side of the business, the Class 2 side of the business, and even further, we have a great iGaming business that, we'll have some additional things to talk about. And, that's all strategic and where I'm driving the business with the team. And I've got a great team, so we will have continued success.
Great.
And thank you to our customer base, people like yourself, so thank you.
Well, thank you, and look forward to watching these developments as they occur.
Absolutely. Thanks, Frank.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Steve.
you. Yep. Thank you.